Let me also take a minute to just set myself up as well.
Okay.
But I'm ready.
Sawa. All right. There's no need to turn on your camera by the way. We're just gonna be using the audio.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I wasn't even going to. Right.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Ready now.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much for creating the time. I truly appreciate your participants in this discussion. So I'll briefly introduce myself, and then you can also introduce yourself, and then we can get started. So my name is Teddy Mwangi. I work with Radio Kikao as a radio presenter and also as a creative director. And today's segment is called Kikao cha Afya, where we get to discuss different aspects of health. So on today's episode, we're going to be discussing about mental health, and specifically we're going to be discussing about addiction, substance addiction, and the psychology behind substance addiction. So if you can kindly introduce yourself to our audience, and then we can get started.
All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's my first time on radio, so you bet I must be very excited. My name is Sheldon Mutie. I am a psychologist by profession. I majored in psychology, and I minored in sociology and family studies. So I'm very happy to be part of this show today, especially because we'll be speaking about something I have interacted with a lot in my field of expertise. So I hope we have a wonderful session.
All right, thank you very much. So Sheldon, for today's conversation, we understand that substance abuse is a very wide subject of discussion, and just to ensure that we get to narrow down, we're going to be discussing this whole discussion on substance abuse, especially amongst young people, and we are going to be using the case study of Kimani Mbugua. I don't know whether you've heard of him and his experience. He's a distinguished journalist who had a very promising career, but would later suffer from, be diagnosed rather with bipolar disorder, and at the same time he was also hooked to drugs. So we really want to have these conversations, especially that are tied to individuals, because we understand that every person, as much as we experience different problems, we are all some of these issues are actually very similar. So we can be able the knowledge from this person's experience and apply it to another person's experience as well.
I completely I completely agree with you that our current generation is struggling with substance use or addiction rather. And I feel by the time we can even see prominent people, famous people struggling with this thing,
Yeah.
imagine how
Yeah.
deep it goes down into the society for people we don't know, people we've not heard about, how much
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
struggling. And by the time it's coming up like this,
Yeah.
means a
Yeah.
lot of youth are struggling. And the crazy thing about addiction
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that it has stages. It starts very early in someone's life,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
because as when it is in its early stages, the effects are not so loud, so it could take you some time or even people around you to realize that you're struggling with something. So by the time we figure out you're struggling with addiction, maybe it has already attracted another mental health disorder, maybe it's attracted other diseases, it's attracted a lot of things around your health and maybe your social life, even your finances by the time you're finding out. Yeah.
Yes.
So the crazy
Yes.
thing is, when you visit rehabilitation centers, you'll find that most people there are a bit older. Like it's the population there. You'll find not it's not a lot of youth who are there. People who are trying to recover from addiction. Most cases, you'll find it's older people, and it's because the younger people are suffering now in the society before
Yeah.
they get to
Yeah.
the last stages and realize, because it's a long-term disease.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, psychologically, how we define addiction, we say it's a chronic relapsive brain disease. Meaning, relapsive means it's not a disease you, no matter how much attention you give to it or how much healthcare you or concentration you put onto it, you'll
Yeah.
never really
Yeah.
get out of it completely.
Mm.
If you
Mm.
don't maintain the standard that maybe you have been advised to maintain, then the disease can come back. It's a lifetime disease.
Right. Right. So
Mhm.
when we as a country got to hear about a gentleman like Kimani Mbugua, who was very distinguished as a journalist, was suffering from substance
Yeah.
abuse and bipolar disorder. And he also got to say that he felt he felt very powerless against substances like weed and cigarettes. In your experience, maybe how does addiction compromise an individual's sense of control, especially the young people who are not experienced or who haven't really gotten to experience this before?
Okay, I would say what happens is there's some different reasons people take drugs. Yeah.
Right.
So let's say, for example, you smoke cigarettes for fun. Maybe your friend introduced you to a cigarette and you thought, oh wow, what a fun activity to do. Then later on you realize there's a kind of high or steam that I get when I use this drug. So after the next stage now, I enjoy that it comes with.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So the problem starts when you start getting using drugs. So you don't know, you never realize how far
Yeah.
the drugs can take you. So this feeling of powerlessness, it comes when you've given your body this substance a lot, and now your body is requesting for it. When you deny your body requests for it. For example, cigarettes. Cigarettes, they contain nicotine. So when you smoke cigarettes,
Yeah.
you feel high, and then the high settles after some. So with the more you keep giving yourself the cigarettes,
Yeah. Yeah.
your body gains tolerance. One cigarette in a day in 2021,
Right.
maybe in
Right.
2022, because your body is getting used to the drug and it's requesting for more drugs. Maybe in 2022 now you smoke 3 cigarettes. 2023 you smoke 4 cigarettes in a day. 2024 you smoke 5 cigarettes. 2025 like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
gets to a point when you try to stop smoking the cigarettes, your body retaliates, your body reacts. Maybe you start having headaches, you start shivering, you can't concentrate, you're sweating. So it's like the drug is now taking control of your body. You can't function normally if you've not consumed the drug, because your body now, your system, your hormones, your nerves are used to being stimulated by this drug. And that's it has now become the norm. So if you take that drug away, then your body refuses to function normally. I don't know if I'm making a point.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Teddy?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So this powerlessness, this powerlessness we are talking about is now when your body requests for the drug, and you this is how you find people selling their things, using all their money. There's once I had a patient somewhere, and he was addicted, and just having a group discussion, and I was asking them, what's the worst thing you have had to sell, or the worst way you have to make money so that you can get drugs and satisfy your addiction? And he told me one day he picked he was married, and I think he had 3 kids. He picked the gas cylinder from home. That's what his wife was supposed to use to make dinner for his family. And he sold the gas, went and drank and smoked the money. And when the kids came back home, there was no fire to make food for them. So even him, when he sits back and looks, he's like, at that moment, my body could not function without this drug. My mind, everything was functioning towards trying to see how I can get money to purchase the drugs.
Right. And allow me to ask, when you get such patients, and you get to hear about their stories, because nobody just wakes up in the morning and is suddenly addicted to weed, or to alcohol, or to cigarettes, or to miraa, or to cocaine, or heroin, or any other drug. Maybe what are the causes of this addiction? Where do they stem from?
Some of these things, we could say some factors that influence people to use drugs. The first thing is what I mentioned earlier, is it starts from somewhere. You just don't wake up, like you said, one day and you're addicted. So the first thing is, for example, the drug, not even everybody knows the whole feeling. When you drink, you get drunk, people say it feels nice. When you smoke, the high is nice. When you do miraa, you say the steam is nice. So there's a pleasurable reward. There's a pleasurable reward that comes from using drugs. Another thing is social learning. For example, in Kenya, I hear people saying we have a drinking culture. Right? So it's normal when you find someone drinking. It doesn't look like a weird thing to do. Sometimes people say it is weird that people don't drink or don't smoke or don't use drugs. So we have made it like it's an okay thing. We've okayed it in the society for us to drink. Another thing is our own expectations. You think you look cool when you're involved in doing drugs. You think people will like you more. You think you'll interact better with people when you're using drugs. Some societies even they brew their own drugs. Like I know there's some traditional brews. So your grandfathers used to drink it, your uncles used to drink it, your dad drinks it, you drink it, or you smoke. Some things we learn a lot from how we are raised. And then also your life goal. Maybe you think some people attach a lot of value in associating with drugs. Some drugs are a bit high end than others. Some drugs are more expensive. Things like cocaine and heroin, they are quite valuable. So you think if you're associated with such a drug, you've attained a certain standard in life. So I think I would say it could be alcoholism, for example, use of alcohol. We can say alcohol can be inherited, alcohol addiction from generation. There's chromosome in your body that can be transferred from one generation to the next. So the moment you start, if you're in that lineage, we call it factor. If you're in that lineage that has the X factor in your genes, you have a higher chance of becoming addicted. This is specifically for alcohol. You have a higher chance of being addicted to alcohol. So when you expose yourself to this drug, when you start drinking, you start activating that gene. The gene is there in your body, but it's dormant. So when you get like life stressors, you say, when you are stressed, you go out to drink. When you start drinking, someone who doesn't have the X factor, you might drink for the same number of years, the same amount of alcohol, and this person will not get addicted. But if you have that X factor and you've consumed alcohol, then definitely you activate that X factor in your body, and slowly your body starts requesting be satisfied. That X factor forces a certain unsatiable craving for alcohol. So every time your body keeps requesting for alcohol,
right,
and that's what leads to addiction, alcohol addiction.
So allow me to ask, when Kimani Mbugua was just having interactions in the media, on TikTok, on Twitter, people converse every day. He got to mention about childhood trauma. And trauma is a word that has become very popular with our generation. I mean, 10 years ago, you couldn't hear the word trauma as often as you hear it today. I don't know in your experience, how much does trauma maybe contribute to addiction? And is it a one-time thing, or is trauma actually accumulated? Is it from one experience, or is trauma accumulated from different experiences?
I love that question so much. Just earlier today, I was speaking with my sister over the phone, and there's something we're talking about, and she told me, I feel like it's just trauma that has accumulated. I've been traumatized since, some time, and I feel like, and then I like how you said the word trauma is becoming more popular than it was a couple of years back. And the response I gave her is that I'm sorry to say this, but sometimes I feel like it's quite embarrassing to allow yourself to express yourself using the word trauma. Say, your excuse for behaving in a certain way is because you're traumatized. I mean, in the age and time we live in, mental health has really grown, and trauma is one of the most famous mental health issues. So when you hear trauma a lot, trauma is just your body doesn't forget. When something happens to you, when you get hit physically, or when something happens to your body. Are we still together?
Yes, we are.
Okay. When something happens, it could be there could be physical trauma, there could be emotional trauma, there could be psychological trauma. So trauma is like when your body reacts to something vigorous that has happened to it. And trauma can accumulate. It could be a one-time thing. For example, maybe you had an accident when you were younger, and now maybe you got stuck in a lift, and now you're traumatized. You don't take lifts anymore. Maybe it happened once, but you've lived with it since that time up to now. It could be maybe you were being abused when you were younger, and the abuse didn't stop until maybe you were a child, 12 years old. Now you are 18, you are still being abused, and then maybe we attract who we are. So maybe you got yourself into a relationship and you found yourself being abused at the same time. So trauma can be a one-time thing, or it can be accumulated. And if you don't deal with that trauma when it happens to you, if you don't work through it, if you don't work through the trauma to gain healing, then definitely it's going to affect your ability to make decisions later in life. Like I said earlier, your body doesn't forget. When something happens to you, you might subconsciously, like, you don't remember exactly what happens, because sometimes things happen to people and they put it at the back of their minds. They don't remember anymore. They choose not to remember. It's like you tune your brain not to remember what happened, and you live like that didn't happen to you. But your body doesn't forget. For example, by a pan, when you're cooking and you got a blister, every single time you touch a pan, you come close to a pan, you'll be very careful to make sure you don't get burnt again, because your body remembers that a similar experience happened, and it's now like it's become a trauma. It's like a traumatic response to an event that happened to you. I don't know if I made that clear.
It's clear and it makes a lot of sense. And I would like to, a lot of people who are suffering from addiction, some of them accept the condition and then they are taken to rehabilitation. But then again, not everyone recovers fully, because some relapse. Why do you think, or what are the contributors of relapsing? What contributes to relapsing?
Okay, I think I said earlier that addiction is a relapsive brain disease. Yeah.
Yes.
Normally, if you don't take your treatment up to, if you don't keep up your treatment.
Hello, can you get me? I think I've lost you for a minute there. Kindly allow me to sort it out. I think I've lost you. Just give me a minute to sort this out. Sorry for that. It's the software that we're using that has crashed, but I'm restarting it again. Sorry for that. Really, really sorry. Okay, I'm back. Pole sana. The nini crashed. It's technical issues though.
It's
Sorry.
Okay.
Maybe we can take it up there from where we're talking about relapsing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I said earlier, when I was defining addiction, that it's a relapsive brain disease, meaning part of recovery. Relapse is part of the journey of recovery. Yeah. So usually what happens is addiction has stages, and people go to be rehabilitated at different stages. Yeah. So you can find, for example, the first stage of addiction, the earliest stage. Normally this is where you are living and you're abusing. You blame others for use. You're like, oh, I like going out to drink because my wife is always stressing me. She's always, my parents are always stressing me, but there are no serious or adverse consequences of drinking. I think I would like to first, before I get into that, I would like to first explain the effects of addiction, which will help me elaborate a little bit more what relapsing exactly is. So how someone is deeply struggling with addiction, it affects some certain areas of your life. Number one being your health. You might find maybe if you're addicted to cigarettes, you've developed some lung issues, lip issues, throat issues. If it's alcohol, the digestive system issues, stomach, liver, spleen, some the drug you're addicted on. So it affects your finances, because